write Micah in there, okay? Not possibly. You can write Micah in there. He can write my name in there. Javier lives in my house practically. He can write Javier's name in there, and whoever else he considers that to be close. These are not people that you necessarily have a close relationship that you feel close to emotionally, because you can be in your house and completely not feel connected to your mother at all. But it's people that that are close to you, and you really need to be showing these love languages to. Okay, it may very well be somebody that you're talking to romantically that you like. So that's up to you. Just choose the top 6 people in your life. And if you don't want to put the person's name, if you don't want to put the person's name because there's somebody sitting next to you and they're very nosy, you can put their initials or something like that.
What you guys say?
Javiel. So go ahead and take time to do that. And listen. The only love language. God, there's less people than
we brought the
Hey, I want to be cool.
Listen, you shouldn't be writing in any section. You shouldn't be writing in any section except for acts of service. Other than the name.
Wait, hold on. We're supposed to write people close.
Right, write the people close.
Wait, I haven't.
Guys, seriously? Hello. The 6 people closest to you, and after you're done with that, I want you to go down to where it says acts of service, and for each person, for person number 1, you're gonna write a couple of acts of service, things that you could do for them. Okay, so like for example, if it's your mother and you know that she's all about cleaning or whatever it may be, well maybe I could sometime this week I could go and clean the bathroom or go clean her car, whatever it may be. Just come up with some ideas of things that you can do for those people.
Okay, so for each number you put like
right in that number section, right? Use 1 or 2 things in those sections, okay? Just to get you guys to start thinking about it, and then just acts of service. That's the only one we talked about, okay? Oh my gosh, it's quite a big thing. 10 seconds. I'm gonna play for it.
Whoa. Once you say that,
I know.
you
My bad.
narrated my whole life out.
Look who's here! Hey!
My God! Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Nice to meet me.
Acts of service?
Acts of service. That's the only one you should be doing.
Okay. That can't be like giving anything, right?
No, that's not about giving.
Oh.
No, acts of service is not giving. Acts of
Doing.
service is doing something that you can do for them.
It's not giving something.
Yeah.
Because it's gifts.
Yeah, we're gonna get to gifts. It's not about giving. It's about acts of service. Remember all the examples that Wally gave and different things that we could possibly do?
Can making someone dinner be an act of service?
Yes, you can. Cooking dinner instead of letting your mother cook is an act of service. Remember Janice shared about people that decided to come in and do a potluck with her, and help her out, and in that way, that was an act of service. Some of these may cost a little bit in mind, but that's not just giving somebody something necessarily may not fall into that or that service. Yeah, but he knows what that means. However it may be at the time.
XCA. Everybody on XCA.
And again, these are things that the person would like, that you know that they would like, not just random things that you think. Try to think about the person acts of service, not you. It's not.
What if that person is not around you? Like, what if that person is not like?
I mean, yeah, because if you're
like
not
foreign.
close
What
to
if that
them,
person
but
is
you're
foreign
close around.
distant?
Okay, well then that may be a little bit different. So you either have to really think out of the box. You don't have to do that now necessarily for that person, but I do want you guys to start thinking about, if it's plausible for that person. I mean, you may have somebody that's in whatever, some other country that you can't send stuff to, and gifts would be a difficult one, you know, so you have to find another way.
Wait, I don't get it. So we're writing the people closest to us, is like the people that we
Not
hang out with the
not
most?
just proximity, but it should, right, that's who I really want you to focus on, the people that are around you the most. Yeah. So, you know, not just people that, oh, my best friend is, those count, I mean, those are people that you express your love to, I mean, you know, when you got people out that you don't ever get to see, the only way is with your words, possibly mailing them something, you know, a lot of times it's not necessarily acts of service unless they need a favor, you know, maybe they were from here and there's something that, you know, sometimes certain things will apply more than others, you know. So, but, you know, for acts of service, for the most part, you're gonna focus on people that are really close to you.
Because
Wash my
acts of
car,
service
yeah.
is always something like tangible.
Gifts do something tangible and service do something non.
It depends, because it may be a service that you bring something to me that's not necessarily a gift, like, let me think, because I was reading about this the other day.
I know, it's one of those.
Well,
things
you know,
where
Janine used an example, and it wasn't, they brought food, they all brought food, and that was helping, you know, that was an act of service to her, because they were serving others, and helping her in the process of, you know.
What did they be giving?
And Janine's got another one that she can share, Micah, go over there.
I messed this up.
Another
so
one
bad.
is I actually help. It's something might consider as a gift, but it's more of an act of service. One of my former students actually is going to the Dominican Republic, and she had a fundraiser. So she just needed the last $20 for it to go in, and I actually gave her the last $20 to meet her goal that she can go to the Dominican Republic to teach English to the local kids. And so that's a form of act of service because it's going to help her serve other people. And I have a lot of friends who do a lot of charity work that's where I'm helping them achieve a goal for the greater good of somebody else.
Okay, it's hard.
Where are you stuck?
Sahar and Mark.
Or what you can do for them?
I'm pretty sure Sahar has a great car.
And you know, don't you know, don't go, you know, maybe there's nothing specific right now, but keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
You know, keep your eyes open. You know, and again,
Especially when
Well, but I
driving,
have a
because if you
question,
close them when driving, you're gonna.
and this may not very necessarily be their primary love languages, so, you know, but I just want you to start thinking of ideas in all the areas with all of these people, you know, in as much as possible, because one of the things that you guys are going to learn is that when, as your primary love language is getting fulfilled and your tank is filled with your primary love languages, all the other ones are bonus.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I'm done.
Congratulations. You wanna
I
come
guess,
in?
yes.
That's where it works. Come on.
Would that be considered quality time?
Seriously, if you do, you want
Yeah.
to
It's okay.
Alright, well, that's fine, and if that's then just leave it at that. You know, well, an act of service for her may be one day you go in her closet and, hey, let's reorganize, let me help you.
She would never let me.
But I'm saying, okay, well then,
No.
what else so hard?
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine, but you know, I'm just thinking, I'm trying to think of what else.
It's just her. Yeah, I know. It's just hard to think of it.
kind of like
She's honestly a quality time person, so I don't
Okay,
know.
that's fine,
She
well then
doesn't
hold
like
that
people
thought,
doing
then we're gonna talk about quality time later.
things.
Alright, so go ahead and hold on to this, guys, just hold on to it for a minute, you got a lot more to go? You good?
Yeah.
You good? You guys done? Are you done, anything? You done, Mr. Andrew?
No,
So you
but
got a couple more films out?
that's okay. I've
Alright,
got to think
well,
about
keep
how
them in mind, and as you guys think about them, go ahead and write them down. Okay? Alright, really quick, actually, what impacted you guys the most of what you guys learned yesterday?
we all give and receive love in different ways.
Okay? What else?
I just read that.
Just the fact that like you might be thinking that that's the way, like for you it's you're trying to show them your love this way and like they're just not receiving it that way when we're just like no, it's like I mean it in this way and they like will not understand that way at all. That's just crazy.
And I love that because I read that 14 years ago and it kind of hit me, but I didn't really apply it. You know, and now looking at a lot of rereading a lot of this stuff has been like, wow, you know, and how easily you can destroy a relationship, not because you don't love, but because you don't know how to show it, because you don't know how to receive it, because you don't recognize the person's love language. You know, what else impacted you guys? Anybody? Anything else from yesterday?
I'm sorry, it's just something important that I'm.
No, I wasn't even.
Oh.
I didn't know if you were gonna say
Because
something.
I know nobody's saying anything, and I usually like to, and.
Okay, this is the teacher who's like, why are you texting?
What are we doing now?
I was asking what impacted you the most of the stuff that we went through yesterday.
Yesterday?
Go ahead, Reina.
Well, I like the example of service and versus slavery
Okay.
because it really just like cleared out like how people can have like a confused way of showing love.
Okay.
And that was really like just eye opening.
We do feel like that sometimes. It's like, oh, I gotta do this for this
Yeah,
person.
and
It's not really
sometimes
out of.
yeah, and sometimes like you might think that the person is being rude or angry or something, but it may not be that. It's just that that's not their love language. And I think that really opened my eyes to like certain people that I would expect to do something, and yet now it's more clear about what their love language is.
Okay, very good. Anybody else? Anything from yesterday? Go ahead, go.
How challenging it is to do to be active service. How after everyone's announcing their this or that, how the minority, challenging one with active service, why we need an answer. We're like,
And Josh too.
Josh, yes, I didn't want to hear him.
No, well, he didn't because his head gave him something different.
Oh,
But
yeah.
just before, so just to throw it out there, the tests are not like 100% scientific, so, yeah, and for the most part, they're pretty accurate, but just because, your second and first one may be right on up there, but maybe pretty close, so, go ahead.
But no, that's just how challenging it is for a lot of people and how it's perceived, same thing, the difference between slavery and service, how people get confused, right? And how, how a lot of people do not know how to speak active service. People don't understand, they're like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this so wrong?
Yeah, and that's big for me because like I said before, I scored 0 on active service, and it's not that I don't like to do stuff, but just going through it, it's like, dude, it's not that I'm lazy, and it's not that I don't love. It's just that I don't show my love that way. Go ahead.
There was something that Wally said to us yesterday after the class, and she was saying she wanted to say it in the class, and I really liked it. She said, you don't, I don't remember exactly what she said, but you don't do the opposite to someone. Like, that's like the worst thing you can do is.
Oh, yeah, when she was talking about she cleaned the bathroom for me.
No, but
that's what she said.
It was outside with the grill.
You don't you don't to get not
Like
get
say
back from
somebody is like words of affirmation, you don't use that against them. Like you don't
Yeah, you
call
don't
them
use
something bad, or like say somebody's like physical touch, you don't hit them abusively because that will really scar them.
Right. Okay. There we go. Anybody else?
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Anybody else from yesterday? You feel like what? All right, so we talked about we all give and receive love in different ways. Thank you very much, Andrew, for mentioning that one.
No problem. It's called reading more.
Yeah, you read really well, okay?
I appreciate that.
All right, we talked about love being a choice. And we talked about the importance of learning to love one another, okay? We talked about the 5 love languages, which you guys have in front of you anyway, so I'm not going to go through them. If you just got here, there you go. I think, yeah, we're still good, 2 boys. One thing we kind of touched on yesterday was that within each language, if you go to, for example, if you go to India and they all speak their language, but there's like 1,000,001 different dialects, okay? And all it is just different ways to speak the same language. And yesterday Wally gave some different examples of how you can give acts of service. Sammy was, okay, can we do something other than cleaning, right? And so we shared a few more different examples, and you're going to hear that throughout the different love languages. And so, every time you hear the word dialect, it's just another way of speaking that same language, okay? And then Wally's going to talk to you guys for about 5 minutes and just really quick recap her acts of service. Yeah. Now.
Now. Okay, take your time.
Thank you.
No problem. I'll control this rowdy bunch. Guys, calm down. Okay, it happens every time. For an extended period of time, you start laughing. And then you become like Naomi, who's just like,
What?
What?
Josh, don't laugh at the jokes. I'm telling you they're not funny, man.
Hold on, and then she gets back. I tried. And then
Okay, so, have you identified already? Did you connect the dots?
Yes.
What did you find out?
Huh?
I actually found a unicorn in mine. I don't know about your guys' dots. You guys must have done it wrong.
Very funny. Uh-huh. Okay, so I wanna know. I would like to know. You need another button? No, you're good. I would like to know, from what you already knew, some of you already knew the book or read the book, and what we started talking about yesterday, did you get anywhere? Did you think about, oh, this is why things are like this at home, or whoever is close to you?
Oh.
Listen, you had your time yesterday. Okay, did you guys, are you guys getting anywhere? You are? You wanna share a little?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, my mom is totally the gifts.
Yes.
Yeah, huge. I mean, that stands out huge.
Yeah.
She like
your
gives me
mom's
something
always
like
giving you
every
a thing.
week or something. Yeah, but sometimes like I'll ask her to do something with me, and she'll say yes, and then next thing you know, she won't do it, and it really hurts me because I'm quality time. That is my number one thing. So like, I mean, it's hard for me to take that because I'm like, oh, she doesn't care or blah 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 or whatever, and I know she does, but you know, at that moment, and so. What?
The child cannot sit on the chair.
That was an earthquake. That
So-
was-
Somebody help him sit on a chair. There he is. Okay.
So
So
then
this helps you
Oh,
not be
no.
hurting so bad.
well, no, now I understand. Like I get it. I mean, it stands out entirely that my mom is like a giver and she's a gifter. So it's like, okay, it's not that, you know,
It's not about you.
it's something hard for her to do. And if I were to sit down and talk to her more or whatever, and I don't know, it would probably still be hard, but I get it now, so I'm good.
Okay. And this is so, you know, a little bit like a book. You know, many times we think, oh, a book, whatever, you know. But at least to me, it's like there are certain things that we learn that is like, oh, well, this makes so much sense that it actually makes, you know, life changes, you know, because then, okay, I'm not gonna be hurting forever because Jimmy's language is different than me, you know, and before I would take it very personal and be like, you don't care about me, you know, you don't do this, you don't do that, blah, blah, blah. So, that's what I would like for you guys to take. It is so sad that the rest of the people is not here to hear the rest. But anyways, you know, take that and remember, like I was like this morning, I was like, I'm gonna make a list of my family's love languages so I don't forget because I speak this language, so I would just keep speaking my language and I will forget to speak theirs. So, you know, that disconnecting the dots thingy will help you so to remember, you know, and even if you have to do a calendar and literally say, okay, you know, this week, you know, at least one day of the week I'm gonna take care. You will do that when we really care about that relationship and nurture that relationship and all of that, you know, so that you guys can really keep track of, wow, when was the last time that I give my mom a gift? I know she speaks that language. And gift is my class. I don't know if we're gonna do it tonight or we're gonna finish actually next Friday. But we will talk about that on gifts. You know, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't. It's just whatever.
That you thought about her.
Whatever significant. Yes. And it would mean so much for her. So it's not even about money. When you think gifts, you think money. It's not even about money. Really. God, yes. Yes.
Another book for another lesson.
Yes. God, you guys take this. God speaks your language because he needs to make sure he wants to make. That's why he's always touching me there. It's like, why does he get this so much? Okay, there you go.
That's so cute. That's
Yes,
true.
yes. God speaks your language. Oh, wait, what is your language again? Yours? Yes. God speaks your language.
You gotta take
God
out more time with
loves
God.
us. God loves us. Okay, so God is going to look at him with that awe.
Hey,
Hello.
everyone.
How are you? How are you, baby? It's so nice to see you guys.
Hey baby, how are you?
Okay. Okay. So, Naomi, you got them? Okay. So, yes, God speaks your language. God speaks every language. God is everything. God knows everything. So, of course, if He loves you so much, more than anybody else in this universe, okay, of course, He will speak your language. Now, what language are you speaking to God? What language do you speak to God? Okay, and the other thing I wanted to say, I forgot. Okay, so I want to tell you something also very important. Yesterday I could not, of course, say everything I had, but one important thing in every language, okay, not just the acts of service, is that we understand the origin of people. Okay, how were they treated? How were they raised? How were they, what language did they speak to them? And so on. Many times in our heart, we speak a language, but people is speaking to us in their language. Okay? So remember this. The most important thing, the love language is the way you hear things. When I speak to you in English, you understand me. Thank you. Bless you, baby. Bless you. So I yeah, I think so. Remember this. The love language is what you're receiving, okay? What you are listening to. But then we have to speak the language of that person. You understand what I'm saying? So yes, I mean, like, naturally I speak my first language, my primary language. But when I come across a person that does not speak Spanish, well, I have to speak, English to them in this country. Okay? And this is another thing that, because last night we had some questions. You guys were, some of you were asking questions about it. And this afternoon I was thinking, I was like, oh, okay. So, act of service is not the best language, but this is what it is. This is what act of service is English. And English is not the best language in the world. But it is what most people will speak to understand each other. How do I understand Lika or Nima? They're not Americans. I'm not well, American. Okay? So, not my primary language. English is the language that wherever you go to China, went to Japan, you go to Italy, and we are kind of expecting people, at least at the airport, and then the tourist places, we are expecting people to speak English. So what do you think? That I go to places and people know I'm Puerto Rican, they will speak Spanish for me? No, they will speak English. So acts of service to make it easier, it's kind of like that. It's kind of that language that everybody speaks. It's not that is the best language, but it's the language that. Right. I think that,
Hold on, she's gonna look at you and call you out in front of everyone.
excuse me.
Quality time.
Wait, Emily's trying to say something.
You know what? But I think that it was the Lord's primary language.
Yeah, there you go.
Of course,
I mean,
of course.
Yes.
So we know they're a little
Scriptures
lazy.
Wally
reference.
said that the Lord had all the love languages.
Right, but it was his
But
primary
Jesus
because
was
he was
speaking.
the greatest
Serve,
servant leader.
I can't fight with you in front of everybody. Emma. Seriously.
You're fine, private.
We'll talk later.
Okay, so that's
Okay, but if Jesus is everywhere, then this is the universal
And it's quality time.
language.
I know, it's quality time.
So what I'm trying to say is
Gave a
that
great gift.
it just happened. It just happened that this is my language and this is what Naomi gave me to share with you.
5 minutes are up, like 5
okay?
minutes ago.
So I want to say that, okay? The act of service, is not, there is no best language. Whatever you speak, and however way you receive love, there's got to be an origin for that. There's a reason for that. So our job, if we want to communicate love to our closest people or whoever else, around us, my job is to speak their language. Okay? And even people that is not too close to you, like coworkers, or if people that is just around you, you will, if you pay attention, you will notice. You will notice what is their language. You will notice if they are doing things for others. You will notice if they like sitting down and talking to people. You will notice if they are into the little bit and
And a lot of them will talk about their own relationships. My husband's never home. He's never with me. They're complaints. A lot of times by the way people are complaining about things, he never gives me anything.
Another hint.
You know, that's
Guys,
so true.
yes, that was in my class. That's a
That's
big
so funny.
hint. Hear people's complaints, and you will kind of catch on their language. They never do anything for me. They never give me anything.
They never help me
don't
with
give
anything.
Attention. They don't help me.
They never hear.
Okay, exactly. So if you pay attention to those complaints, you will know that that's that person's language, and then next step is to try to work towards trying to, do that, even though it's not your language, try to do it for them, of course. Damn, my 5 minutes ago.
You're 5 minutes. All right. So like Wally said, obviously this is taking a lot more time. Like Wally told me, and I didn't listen, so I probably should have done one of my great ones. So we're gonna try to hit at least two other love languages tonight. And that's most likely we're gonna leave it at. And Wally's gonna do the other two next week. We won't have time. Like now we're running.
That's okay.
Like yesterday, my class was not done completely. Her class was not done completely.
Yeah.
Like, why would we?
Also wanna know.
Let's just do it.
Let's just stretch it out.
Yeah.
And so
Words of affirmation.
there you go. Whose words of affirmation? Anybody else? Whose second one is words? Anybody? Okay, so we got a few. All right, cool. All right, so my second love language, and it's very, very, very close with my first love language, and so is words of affirmation. I told you guys yesterday, me and Wally, I gave Wally her love languages, and I took mine, to share. When you guys think about words of affirmation, what do you guys think about?
You're beautiful.
You're beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I
Thank
was
you very
just
much.
saying
You were
the
just
song, not.
definitely not words of affirmation right there.
Well, no, I mean,
X,
I
anybody
could.
else? Encouragement. All right. Who else?
Welcome.
Welcoming, compliments. Anybody else? Words? No?
I think, be serious. I think just engaging people in words
Okay.
is affirmation. You don't necessarily have to compliment them. Or
Okay.
if they want to talk, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be spending time with them. They could just need to talk, and that could be affirming them for using the words.
And that's actually going to fall into quality time. But I can see where it's a crossover. Okay? I looked up the word affirmation just because that's what I do when we teach something. And it talks about a statement of the existence or the truth of something. When you're being affirmed, it feels like you exist. It feels like you're there. When you're not feeling like you're affirmed, you could be in the middle of 20 million people and just completely feel alone. Mark Twain said, I saw a quote by Mark Twain, he says, I can live for 2 months on a good compliment. And people that connect with words of affirmation, man, sometimes that's all they need is somebody to say this one nice thing for them. I'm good for the week. I'm good for the month. And not literally 2 months, say one compliment. Okay, I'm good. I don't have to give you another compliment for 2 months. But that's how powerful some words of affirmation can be in somebody's life. Okay. You guys know
What is this?
I thought it was loud.
Help. Help.
It's not loud enough. You guys remember what it said?
Yeah. You was in Heart, right?
Yeah, you lost the accent.
You lost the accent. You gotta say the accent. Huh?
That part made me cry.
That movie made me cry too, right?
Touching.
You is here. Let me repeat it to you. I'll quote it.
Why is it on your side? You
They are. It's just too big a room. I don't know why they're not on. You was kind. You was smart.
That was what?
I love that when I saw it. Yes, I actually cried at this movie. Okay.
Everyone cried.
I cried at this movie. Yeah, I cried.
Why does he cry?
Yeah, I don't cry. I don't cry.
So,
I think it's
The help.
word.
I don't know.
Word.
Any kind of word is his
Word.
language. His language is just
I
there you go.
have a quick question.
It's
Yes,
the
sir.
help.
Very serious question. Along with the last thing I just said, just to clarify real quick.
The help.
If you are communicating via technology and all you're using is words, such as texting or email,
Quality time still because you're still making it. I mean, it depends on what you're communicating. You know, like I said, you'll see a little bit of the difference. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about it. And I did tell you, some of this stuff, some of these languages will cross over a little bit. Okay, it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm speaking this language. Oh no, I can't do this part right now. A lot of this stuff will cross over, and that's okay. Words are a powerful force from the very beginning of our lives. A lot of times, there's something that we gotta remember, and I didn't mention it yesterday. Is love is something that we should be feeling from the home, from the very beginning. It should be something that we're seeing in our parents. It should be something that should be related to us from our parents. Of course, a lot of times we have a lot of broken homes. My parents divorced twice. Some of you guys maybe didn't even know your father, maybe didn't even know your mother. And so there's a lot of things that happen within the home that sometimes shake our foundation for what love is. And a lot of times, there are kids that grow up in positive environments and kids that grow up in negative environments. And we see that a lot working in schools, where we're so aggravated by this kid because, oh my gosh, this kid's got an attitude and he's got a discipline problem. And we're upset with him, and then we come to find out what's going on in his home. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it's like, And so a lot of times you're just like, okay, what's going on in this child's home? A lot of times you'll see a kid that's acting a certain way all year long, and you can ask Mandy, first grade teacher, and then all of a sudden, last couple months of school, it's like, what is going on with this child? Hey, parents are not home right now. They got some random people taking care of you. And so this kid's acting out everywhere else that he goes. But I only say that to say that a lot of times when we grow up in negative environments, and people are constantly saying negative things to us, this becomes a very, very hard language to learn. Because the easiest thing that flows out of me is negativity, because that's what flows into me for a very long time in our lives.
Alright, can we go back to the definition of anxiety?
Okay. If you've grown up in a negative environment, okay, this is going to mean that you're going to have to put a lot of extra effort. Okay. In fact, there's only like 2 or 3 people in here whose primary love language was words of affirmation. And so not only do you not speak it, if you've also grown up in a negative environment, or in a place where you weren't affirmed growing up, maybe it wasn't necessarily negative, maybe it was just a place where people just didn't encourage you. You're going to have to really take time out and sit down and think about things that you can do to affirm the other people in your lives who need this language. Okay? I love this verse. The tongue has the power of life and death. What does that mean to you? Anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Simply words can make or break somebody. You can really damage a person with words, or you can really lift them up.
Anybody else?
They can create or they can destroy.
They can create, they can destroy. Hey. Okay. Whether the people around you is their love language, and people in your relationship with, is whether their love language is words of affirmation or not. Words is something that you constantly have to be very aware of. What is it that's coming out of your mouth? The Bible says that we should be building each other up. And then we grow up hearing, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. Okay? Is criticizing somebody a good thing? Okay? So that doesn't necessarily mean that I can't criticize something that you're doing. Okay? But what it does mean is if I am going to criticize something that you're doing, I'm going to do it in love. Mm-hmm. And if it's not coming with that motivation, then you don't need to do it at all. If it's just a need of mine that I have to tell you what you're doing wrong, then just be quiet. That's not your place. Okay? What's coming out of your mouth should be there to build each other up. Okay? Like all these love languages is something that we have to learn. We all enjoy being affirmed at some point or another. And like I mentioned at the beginning, if you're getting your primary love languages, even if it's not words of affirmation, if your primary love language is quality time, when you start getting the rest of the love languages, they also start pouring into the tank. And the opposite is true as well. If you're not receiving your primary love languages, a lot of the other stuff means absolutely nothing because you're not getting your primary love languages. Does that make sense? Okay. So what are some ways of communicating with words? Well, yeah.
Could you
So I'll give you an example. I'll give you the first one and you'll give me the rest because this is the easiest one. Spoken, right?
Oh.
There you go. So there's
Action.
so we talk about written, wrapped out,
Action.
actions like how do I affirm you with my actions?
By saying something and doing what you're saying instead of doing the opposite. That would be like an opposite affirmation. I mean, not affirmation.
We're talking about words of affirmation. Yes.
I saw you doing something, it was good, so I'll do it too. And that lets you know it's good.
Okay, very good. Very good. That's good. Nothing else. I was like, wait, what?
body language and gestures.
Body language and gestures. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring some of these down and we'll talk about them. I mentioned spoken and I didn't write these. Personally, I can affirm you. You know, I love your hair. You know, I love the way that you did that. I'm glad that you're doing this. Okay, I can acknowledge you in front. I can do it on a personal level, and I can stand up here and say, you know, I'm so grateful to Josh. He came here earlier today, and I don't know Esther, and they put all the papers in the I can't talk today in the clipboards. Okay, and that was something that we didn't have to do. Thank you, Josh, for doing that, and we'll do that publicly. And Chris, I'm sorry, and Chris.
You didn't
Words of
Okay, so Chris,
affirmation.
sorry.
I need that.
Chris, you're awesome. Oh, okay. I was just giving an example. I was saying.
Examples have power. Words have power. So even not speaking to someone.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much.
I
But that's good.
I
Thank you very much. Okay.
You said that.
Sometimes that's really powerful. It's awesome when you hear something face to face, but when somebody's willing to stand up in front of somebody else, and you know, sometimes we're like, oh, embarrassed, you know, but it means a lot to people with words of affirmation when you can stand up. You know, you're at your job, and when somebody says, hey, you know, Reina's been doing such an amazing job in this salon. You know, she single-handedly brought in all of these customers, which not only helped her, but helped the salon as a whole. You know, and when you acknowledge her personally, that's awesome. But when everybody else is like, well, this is for real. You know, because sometimes you're willing to say something to somebody, but you're never going to tell anybody else. But when you put it out there, that's an awesome thing. And not only that, sometimes it's in mind sharing about something good about Esther to somebody else. I may not even say it directly to her, but when I'm saying good things about you guys, at some point or another, a lot of times it comes right back to you. How good does it feel when somebody says, you know, so and so was talking about you, man, they were talking about how great a friend you are. You know, and it's like, wow, that's an awesome thing. You know, and so encouraging words can be very personal, but they can even come around full circle. Okay, speak good things about other people because the good and the bad doesn't come around. A lot of times the bad first stems, but the good and the bad comes around. What else did I put in here? We talked about written. We talked about notes, cards, messages online. You guys ever received a cute little note unexpected? Go ahead. Are you saying that?
Yes. The fridge.
Oh, I'm like, what are you talking about? Okay, I sent Javiola an e-card this week. You know,
That's not fair for computer literacy.
so get him a real card.
Yeah, notes and cards.
You know, you guys next? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
You knew you were going to talk about words of affirmation on Saturday.
And you know, I do that, and that's really important to me because I laugh because you know, my two love languages are quality and Wally too. Wally, no friend this week. I didn't give you one. I'm sorry, Wally.
I didn't get one either, Wally.
Don't give me any.
I never get it.
That is not your love language.
It's yours.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm good. I'm bad.
I need my letter and my time. I gave her a hug this morning and she almost gave me a cool
Your hands are raised. Okay. Go ahead, Mandy. Go ahead.
Come on, guys. Let's keep it here.
That's good. It's extra.
It's overflowing now. Hey, we took way too much out. Let's put it back. Put it back.
I was going to say, I think to some people who may have words of affirmation
sometimes I feel like maybe oversensitive because I know some people that if you don't say like good morning, whatever, it's like the world is kind of upside down. So some people you have to kind of go out of your way to like make sure you
right. And
Wally in the back.
there, this, and if you know that about some people, you know, that's part of it. Definitely, you try to go out of your way a little bit now. There are definitely people that are overboard with it, and you need to be aware of that with yourself. If you don't get every single little acknowledgement for everything that you do, don't have a heart attack. There are things that we are to be done in secret, and where the Lord is the one that's going to reward us. We don't always have to be rewarded in public. We don't always have to have somebody say, you know, when you do things. You know, we have to learn to do things out of love and out of kindness, not an expectation of getting something in return. You know, when that comes, it's great. And if that's your love language, it's, hey, if you know that, you know, be willing to give that, you know, but we have to be very, very careful. Yeah. You want to say something? Wally, did you have your hand up? No.
No, she was testifying.
What I was gonna say, I laughed because I was sharing with Wally, and you want to talk about love languages. I was sharing with Wally earlier today, and we've been laughing in the house lately just because, you know, our love languages are opposite. And she's like, oh my gosh, what are your other languages called anytime? She's like, oh my gosh, I failed. You know, what's your other one? Words of affirmation. She's like, oh my God, you know. And so we're laughing, and I was like, and it just clicked, and we were talking about the pastors, and I was like, this is why I clicked with them, because we talk about quality time, you know, and we're going to talk a little more specifically about that. And I mean, from when I met her, it was like, oh, we need to go spend time. Let's go talk. And it was like, you know, that was it. But I was the focus. You know, you talk about words, and, you know, and you know, she'll text you, and it'll be like, you know, and the Lord this, and you know, all these little nice things that I'm like, well, I loved her from the very beginning.
Oh, Pastor text you, she doesn't reply to me.
I will. Hey. If it makes you feel better, I don't get texted as much anymore, but I just okay. The connection was there initially, and it's been made.
I know. Guys, we're reversing and going back. I know you have more people.
Wait. Well, Wally, what?
Like about people that didn't even reply from her.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Hey,
Why are they still doing this? Okay, we're gonna take the best of the shot.
So we're learning, though. This is why we're here. We're learning, okay? For some people, that's very, very important. And I text back. So you know, but those things, it just goes to show those things are very, very important. Okay, well, and I'll touch a little bit more on the quality time. When you talk about messages online, you know, sometimes just a really quick, hey, I love you, I just want you to know, you know, you're really special, I just want you to know. You know, doing it online on somebody's Facebook is like doing it in public, you know. All whatever hundreds and hundreds of friends you have, and all whatever hundreds of friends they have, just probably saw that message. You know, so be careful the bad things you're writing on Facebook, just on sideline. But you can communicate words of affirmation, spoken, written. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, different ways to communicate, guys. So you may communicate during messages online, but other people can't. Like my mother, tech savvy is not writing.
Thank you, Mandy.
Spoken words.
I tried.
Send her a letter.
And listen, come out, and I'll get you. And that's important. We're joking about that, but you know, Em, you can't text everybody now. No, but this is important. And we're joking and we're laughing, but this is important. Just because you're like super mass texter, like Wally is, who texts in her sleep, okay, doesn't mean. And listen, it doesn't mean that if somebody's not texting you back in the time frame that you want, that they don't necessarily care. I mean, it may very well be, okay, but don't just make that assumption. You know, some people don't like phones. You know, the boys are always messing with Amanda. You know, she's on her Facebook, and if she wants to say something, and if she doesn't, she just won't. And she'll have 20 million posts, and it's not about you. Look at her Facebook. She answers to like one person out of every 20, maybe. You know, that's how it is. And that's just not her thing. And you've got to know that, you know, and not take that person. You know? Go ahead, you were going to say something else.
No, it actually, there's more effort, I think, is just you have to do things over like send me a voicemail. Yeah. My best friend is notorious for doing that. Word affirmation is her primary love language. And then at random, she needs to get something in the mail. And it's a she's about college attention. It may be a neon pink, vibrant purple, something.
Aw.
And I know, and when I get those, they're just, this is why I love you because you're my best friend. And I know she puts a lot of thought and effort to it. I have a box, one big shoebox of all the cards she sent me in the last 10 years. Not only that, at random, I get packages. And everyone at my house finds it funny because they're like, oh, you actually got something in the mail? Who still uses the post office? And it's like, she does. And we do it back and forth. I send her cookies because they're healthy, so she's actually on her diet, but she loves them. Because she's like, oh, you took the time to do this. So technology is wonderful, yes. But sometimes it's that little extra touch that you get when you get something in the mail. It won't hurt. It won't hurt.
And that could be an act of service to somebody who's far away.
Yeah.
And I love that. I mean, and something that I love about written is that you can read them over and over. And I don't know how many of you guys have ever gotten a card and it encouraged you and it was so nice and it made you feel, and then you read it and you reread it, or you had a text and you never wanted to delete your text because wait, there was a really nice text in there, or you got voicemail, or you got voicemail that you've never erased because it's so nice. You know, I was laughing the other day. Mandy was sharing her voicemails, and she has in front of her singing on the phone, and just randomly, you know, and it's little things, just out of nowhere, and something that I never, just so random, and this can be within the gifts, but also with words. That random card that comes, you know, not because it's your birthday, not because it's any special occasion when people do cards. You know, for me, that was what we were laughing about because Wally's not a big card person. You know, and I love cards. I love words because when I go pick out a card, usually it takes me forever, and I'll read every single possible card, and it's got to be the perfect card. You know, because I want it to express how I feel, and so when I receive a card, and I love to get cards, don't even give me a gift, get me a card. You can give me a gift too, but if not, give me a card.
Yeah, write that down.
Okay,
we got video evidence that says Naomi does not want gifts.
Who's not recording? Erase that. Got to edit the video. But I love to get cards. I love the little notes, the little random, just that little random. My cousin Tita, when she was at my house one day and she got post-it notes, and I would open a drawer and there was a little note from her, and I would open, my closet and there was some notes from her, and then this, and it's like, it's nothing, there's post-it notes, little piece of paper, whatever, and just a reminder, hey, you're special. Hey, I love you. Just that random I love you sometimes. It's like, man, right? And so it's like, and I've done that sometimes where I'll send a note and oh man, I really needed that right now. That doesn't.
I love you, Naomi.
Thank you though, thank you. And you guys, I'm telling you, that person may just be like, hey, thank you, but you never know when that word at the right time, it's all that they needed, to get them through the day when they've been completely tore up at work and they needed to know, wait, listen, I am still special. I am appreciated. We talk about body language, facial expression. You can definitely, your body language, like, Andrew was mentioning, speaks a lot. Your face, speaks a lot. Some of you guys are just like, I didn't say anything. Yeah, you did. With your face, you said everything, And so I bother my boss at work sometimes because we're just like, for real? Because she makes all of these faces, and I work with Mandy and Emily and they know, and it's like, you didn't have to say one word, your face said everything, and a lot of times it's not necessarily affirming, what's coming from your face, but, something as simple as I'm teaching a class back here, and Wally may be back there going, hey, thumbs up. She didn't do that today, but, you're doing a good job. Thank you, Chris. That's affirming, okay? And so there's a lot of different things that can be done, all right? And they're easy things, those things that don't cost you money, There's different dialects. They were supposed to come in one by one, but we'll go through them. The first one is words of appreciation. Okay, a different way to affirm somebody. So when I think about words of appreciation, you're expressing gratitude for something that somebody has done recently, is doing. When was the last time, you got your parents at work? When was the last time you stopped and told your father or your mother, who pays for the rent, hey, thanks for working. Thank you for what you're doing every single day. Do we even think about that? Hey, thank you, because you go to work every single day to make sure I got a roof over my head, and when I go to the bathroom, there's running water. Those are things that are important. Okay? Think about that. What have your parents done for you, as an example, lately, that you haven't said thank you for? What are the everyday things that they do? Anybody? Not rhetorical.
My dad wakes up really, really early in the morning and comes home late so that he can pay for a roof over our head and Monday.
And what was the last thing you said? Thank you for that.
I can thank you quite often.
All right, very good.
Tonight. What else? Dad, wake up. Thank
Tomorrow.
you.
That, let me tell you right now, that was not being received as application, okay? Don't wake me up to say thank you. I'll be grateful that you didn't wake me up. Who else? What are your parents doing that you haven't said thank you for lately? They haven't even thought about it. Let's do this. What are your parents doing wrong? Don't answer that.
You're like,
You see how
okay.
quickly? You see how quickly though? We can all come up with something. And here's the thing. Listen, we're so focused on what the people in relationships with are doing wrong that a lot of times we completely miss all the things that they're doing right. And if we would just learn and realize that if we would all emphasize the things that they're doing right, and if we were grateful for those things, and if we were loving on them, a lot of times they would begin to work on the things that they are doing wrong, not because you're telling them, but because they want to better please you, because you're loving on them and feeling their love. Okay? Feel good. Okay? When my love tank is full, let's go. Let's do something. Let's do whatever. What are you? Okay, let's do it. I don't even care. You know, when I'm feeling good, Wally wants to clean the whole house. All right, let's do it. That doesn't happen often, obviously. You guys need more love in my tank, you guys. All right? But that's kind of how it works. What is it that your parents are doing? Nobody else other than working every day? What else do your parents do? Other than Raina, what else do your parents do? Andrew, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, man. Go ahead. You wish your tank was like that? How about that? How many of you guys think you have a completely full love tank?
Completely full?
Completely full. What do you think?
Huh.
How many of you feel like you're halfway?
Right now?
How many of you guys feel like you're more than halfway?
What?
How many of you guys are running on empty? Please don't be running on empty.
Are you talking
No.
about right now?
Yeah, right now. Don't even tell me. Don't even tell me for think about it.
When you say it's full, meaning
Like you're feeling love, you're feeling appreciated.
okay.
I have something. Sometimes, even though other people surrounding you may not fill that tank, God can become everything for you, and He can fill that tank up a lot more.
Okay. And that's something that's very good that you're mentioning. Okay. We do trust in God and we do go to God. Okay. And there are times in our lives where it's not about my friends and it's not about my parents and it's not about my boyfriend or my girlfriend or my husband and wife and it's you know, it's always about a connection with God, but there's even specific times in your life where it's like, you know, this is a one-on-one time with God and God becomes your everything, you know. And I'm be careful with this because God should always your number one, you know. But God has called us to be relational people. You know, He's called us to love Him and He's called us to love one another. You know, and I always love that portion of scripture. I think it's in Luke where he talks about the sheep and the goats, and he talks about loving others, and you know, God has called us to love, and we love as we love on others, we love on Him, and everything that God is about is love. The Bible says that God is love. You know, hey, go ahead. You were gonna say something, or were you waving, Esther? You're waving. Okay. Hey. But it is very important because the Bible does say, you know, a lot of times I hear, you know, yeah, I'm unhappy because I don't have a boyfriend. I'm unhappy because I don't have a girlfriend. You know, hey, we've all been there. You know, we want to be very, very careful because the Bible says that the Lord is the one that completes us. You know, and my joy and my not feeling love, you know, we want to be very, very careful where we're trying to get all of our love from. You know. But we talk about words of appreciation. What are some things that we can say in appreciation? Give me some examples of words of appreciation. Go ahead, Andrew. Thank you. Other than thank you.
Other than thank you, I mean, I was just going to point out that you just did that earlier when you were thanking Chris.
Okay. All right. What else? Other things. Come on. When was the last time you guys?
Well done. Good job.
When was the last time you guys thought about your friends? What have your friends done for you lately that they do all the time and maybe you don't even stop to thank them? Oh, Wally needs a friend, guys. Wally needs a friend.
I'll be your friend, Wally.
Wait, time out. The friend discussion is for another day. You just share gratitude?
Yeah, actually, I said last night, so thanks for coming.
That's okay.
Thanks for inviting me.
Aw, you see? What else? Come on.
Examples of what?
Maybe that's because if you can work it out once, like they train for the mental insurance and everything else, so we can actually go to the doctor and everything, you know, it's stressful to not know how to do it.
Okay.
You can say things like, I love it when you do this or do that or whatever it is. There's a lot of things.
And if you just got here, we're gonna give you a list, and for the rest of you guys, start thinking about these things because you're gonna start writing some of these down for the people that are close to you. Somebody else had their hand up.
I was just gonna say, I like how like you might do one small thing for someone and you have no idea how much they need it, and they're like, you have no idea how much that helped me or how much I needed to hear that.
And I mean, sometimes we forget. Sometimes, and sometimes let's go a little deeper than going, hey, thanks. Sometimes let's, hey, thank you because you don't know how that changed me. Let's take a little bit more time, a few more seconds, other than just say that. Man, I said thanks. But to really, no, you don't understand. Sometimes you really got to stop somebody and go, no, you don't understand what that meant to me. Because those are the things that when somebody comes up to you and for example, I'll just use an example, just as Reina mentioned it, I wrote, I love you on her page. And she was just, oh yeah, I love you. And she was like, thank you. I really needed that. And that in my head, I'm like, ding, ding, who else may need to hear that? Sometimes the littlest of things, hey, somebody gave me a random card, man, I so need it. And sometimes, oh, that meant so much to me, but we don't even say it. Man, you go.
I was gonna say, I'm not a word of affirmation person. That was blowing mine. I don't know where it rings from my mom, so I know she likes to talk and stuff. So I don't always like to talk. But it was something where I had told her because she'll ask about like a certain situation, she'll always like ask to see like how's it going or whatever. And so I was like, usually I would like snap back when I wasn't because I knew she was generally trying to, I guess, encourage. Sorry, I'm skipping. So I had to, in order to not try to like downplay her love language of words of affirmation, I was just like, I will totally let you know when I want to talk about it. I was like, thanks for asking. I appreciate it. But I was like, but I'll let you know. I just don't really want to talk about it. And she was cool with that. But sometimes when it isn't, like words of affirmation is not. So then it's like you're prone to like kind of snap back or be like, stop. I just don't want to talk about anything. So I don't know.
But that's good that you mentioned that. We're gonna go ahead and make words of encouragement. But listen, sometimes we have to be. People can't read our minds, and we have to be that. I don't know, blunt's the word, but we have to listen. Can we just not talk about this now? Without to stop for a second, acknowledge that, hey, wait a minute, this person really just cares, and not get an attitude, and on the other side of that, to be willing to say, all right, fine, we can talk about that later, and not receive offense because of it, Words of encouragement. These are words that bring courage. Okay, encourage one another daily as long as it is called today. Daily. You're encouraging the people around you daily?
No.
Yeah. Good job. I mean, think about that. When we're at work and we keep talking about, friendships and romantic relationships and parents and all that with coworkers. Gosh, my whole school needs encouragement. We need encouragement. I'm gonna put a little note on everybody's door before they come home from back to the summer.
And you want to?
Yeah, go ahead.
I always want to talk. Don't worry about it.
See, and this is what keeps
Go ahead,
encouraging me to talk. He
okay.
keeps smiling and laughing.
Aww.
That was my point.
Stop.
See, and then she stopped on purpose. That was kind of.
No, that was what I was.
Okay, good. Okay, so encouragement. What's the point?
What encourages me to keep talking is that people keep smiling and laughing.
Okay, guys, we're encouraging him way too much.
Stop smiling and. Alright, sure.
Yeah.
The projection.
One important thing too, I think I said it before, is that we cannot take personal, like that when Amanda say, if somebody does not speak your language, you cannot be all upset about them wanting to talk to you or tell you something crazy. I hear sometimes people go like, oh my goodness, they're treating me like a pig. I got so upset. You know what? That person, that's their language. They want to get close and they give you a little card and you feel they want to tell you something nice. So we cannot, if that person says, you know what, I don't want to talk about it now, we cannot take it personal. When somebody does not speak our love language, You cannot feel rejected because of that. That is not their language, or maybe it's not even their own languages. They don't want to talk now. You know, this is not the right moment, or maybe not the right place, or they're not ready to say anything. So that is very important because we take it so hard. And again, this is about them, not us. We need to deal with that.
Okay, words that inspire courage. We all have areas in our lives where we feel insecure about certain things, you know. And just the first thing that pops into my head, I think, we talk about speaking love languages, demonstrations, and I'll just talk about home, DJ's second one is words, right? And you would think with mine being the second one as well that I'd be a lot better at words, but I'm not. And I'm very analytical. I'm very, if something's wrong, it's wrong, or if I don't like something, or if it's not to like an elite thing, and instead of just encouraging, a lot of times, I'll be like, oh, BJ, you should do this, and oh, BJ, you should do that, and I think back at him when he was first trying to dance, and instead of, come on, BJ, you can do this, he could do whatever kind of a flip, completely offbeat, whatever it may be, and Wally'd be like, yeah, come on, BJ, you got this, and I was watching him at the picnic, and I was like, hey, man, he's doing better, he's doing pretty good, but there's areas in our lives where if we just had people to encourage us, we'd be able to become very talented in certain areas, BJ loves to sing, and Mandy was like, oh man, come on, let's do this. And he's become like a little mini, Mandy, and she's like looking after him and calling out, and that's encouraging to him. A lot of times there's people around us, and all they need is a word of encouragement to be able to pursue their dreams. A word of encouragement from you, or a negative word can be the difference between somebody pursuing a dream or somebody completely saying, "Oh no, forget it, I can't do it." Okay. Sometimes it's something as simple as if a friend says to you, "Hey, I want to lose weight." What is our reaction? Oh well, everybody wants to lose weight.
I was like, go eat a Snickers.
Right? And that is not very encouraging. You got snacks. And I'm not even going to talk about what Emily does to me at work, but, sometimes
you have to eat.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But sometimes instead of bringing comments that really don't encourage, we can say, okay, great, you can do it. Whatever you set your mind to, I know that you can do. What is it that's coming out of our mouths? Are the words coming out of our mouths to the people around us, are they words that are truly encouraging them? Okay? That are truly helping them to pursue their dreams, to pursue the purpose that God has in their lives? Are there people around you that are down, and sometimes all they need to know is that, hey, there's purpose in your life. And even though you just lost your job, and even though you don't even know if that's the job that you want, you know what, don't worry about it. You can get through this. More importantly, we can get through this together if you need me to be there. Okay? We talk about words of praise. Can we recognize others' accomplishments? Or are we too busy being jealous because everybody else is doing so well? Can we acknowledge when somebody else is doing good? And praise them and praise the good things that they're doing. Whether it's something like getting a new job. BJ, congratulations. You did really well on his state test again this year. Passed advanced on just about everything. And the other stuff was still up there. And we laughed because I was like, whatever, that's not a surprise. You do it every year, But so what? It's another year of his life. He's accomplished it and maintained that, and that is an accomplishment. Okay? Whether it's doing well on state tests. I told, Javier the other, he had a job opportunity and it was not going to allow him to do what he was doing for God, and you could say 20 million things about it, but I was like, man, I'm so proud of you. Good job, because you chose to not take that test because you wanted to be able to continue that job because you wanted to continue to serve God, and that's a big thing. And a lot of people can look at it in a lot of different ways, but the motivation of his heart was to do the right thing before God. Can we praise that? Yeah. Are there, look for the things that people are doing to encourage them. Again, if this is our love language, listen, don't be trying to get praise for every little thing that you do. Great, you comb your hair today, good job, you clean your room. Listen, that's stuff that you need to do. There are things that we just need to do. You didn't get praised because whatever, you gave an extra offering. Let God reward you in certain things, But if you're the people that are in relationship with somebody that's got words of affirmation as a primary language, be be sure that you're acknowledging the things that are going on in their lives. Remember, all you're doing is loving on them. All you're doing is loving on them. And we talk about kind words, okay? Kindness and kindness, okay? We keep talking about loving on people with words, showing love. It's not just about saying positive things. It's about being able to discuss our differences and our difficulties in kindness. Okay? Sometimes, hey, me and you we're friends, but there's things that we're not that you do that I don't like, and there's things that I do that you don't like. And we've got to be able to speak to each other kindly, and with words that are affirming, not let me tear you down as I explain to you why I'm right and why what you did was just so completely wrong. Okay? I really like this that was in the book, and it says, seek understanding and reconciliation. Seek not to prove that your own perception is the only logical way to interpret what has happened. This is mature love. Mature love speaks kindly. Okay? Seek understanding and reconciliation. When you're having a discussion with somebody, are you having a discussion just to prove your point? Seek not to prove that your own perception, your own idea, your own way of thinking, what you're saying to them is the only logical way to interpret what has happened. With somebody that has words of affirmation as their primary language, it's important that you're careful what you're saying all the time. Because just like your words bring love, when your words are words that are not affirming and encouraging or kind, okay, they can really destroy. Words can destroy anyone, but especially somebody whose primary love language is words of affirmation. Okay? If you're having an argument, think about the motivation of your heart. Is it worth this discussion? Am I doing it for the right reason, or am I just trying to be right? And if that's your need all the time to be right, you need to check your heart. That's a class for another day. But
then I was referring to the service, I think that's late last night. That we learned that when anybody, the worst thing you can do to someone is use in a not kind way their own language. Okay? Anybody's love language. If yours is gift, the worst thing I can do to you is either put down the gift or never ever give you a gift. And words of affirmation is a big one because we just speak and we just speak our minds in the house or with your friends or wherever you are. And especially when we think we are right, we say whatever we want to say, the way we want to say it, and we don't think about it. And if somebody's love language is that, the worst thing, the worst damage you're doing to that person is using words against them. Words against them. Because that is the way they receive. So when you give them it so bad, it is very damaging. And whatever it is, if it's service or not doing anything for them, or whatever language is. So we have to be very careful about this. And the whole connection with God is very important for that. Because, you can recognize and remember, whoever's love language, do not use their love language against us. It is very, very damaging.
And that's important to keep in mind. Okay, watch your words with everyone, but especially with people around you who you know that is their primary, love languages are at the top of their list. What was I going to say? The way we talk about kindness, the way that we say things to people, man, why weren't you here? Versus, I wish you could have been here. Two different things. Two completely different things. Is a demanding in one, the tone of your voice. Versus, man, I'm caring. I wish you could have been here. I miss you. And you will get a completely different response. Think about it. Before those words are going to rush out of your mouth, is there a better way to say this? Because if you truly care about the other person, if you truly care about that relationship, you're going to begin to be very, very aware of those things. And I just wrote Stephen because we talk about words. Sometimes, Wally had already mentioned it. If this person, the people around you, if that's their love languages, they're going to constantly be telling you stuff. Be willing. Can you just say thank you? Sometimes people are complimenting us, and we're just like, we learn to say thank you. Thank you. Because God be the glory, because sometimes they're complimenting us on the, whether on ministry and different things that we're doing, but it's okay to just say thank you. And not even have to give a compliment back, just learn to receive when somebody's loving on you, okay? There was a story in the book, and it talks about this guy Ryan. It says that he was having problems with all his relationships, and he just couldn't keep a girl or whatever. He started sharing with with Dr. Kevin. He said, I don't understand, what's going on. I don't understand what's wrong. He says, it's like we start, everything starts out perfectly fine, and the girls usually end it, and he started sharing about how when conversations got personal, he didn't know how to talk and he didn't know how to share, and it ended up, the doctor asked him about his relationship with his parents, because unfortunately a lot of times there's things that roll down from our relationship with our parents that tend to greatly affect our future relationships, whether it's friendships, whether it's possible romantic relationships, and he started sharing about his father's discouraging words growing up and how his father never encouraged him and never had a good thing to say to him. And so it got back to his relationship with girls, and he asked, do you ever, affirm them? Do you ever say good things about them? And he's sitting there thinking, and he realized that, he never really was able to express to them the good things about them. And he would never be able to truly compliment them or to affirm them in a choice that they had made or whatever it would be. And he started connecting how all of these things, his father never said to him that he was proud and was more critical of him, and he realized that he was very critical with these girls that he would go out with, and he asked this question, he's like, how do I give what I never received? And it's a difficult thing because it's like, wow, I never learned how to do this, okay? And for a lot of you guys, when it comes to work, you did come up from a negative environment. Many of you guys are still in a negative environment, but that doesn't mean that you can't change that. In this guy's case, he said the very first thing that you need to do is recognize your situation. Okay, I never received this. This is where I'm at. I'm struggling with this because I haven't learned how to do it. This is where you're at, whether it's for this language or any other one. Okay, and he said, be active, not passive. Okay, at the very beginning, I told you guys that love is something that is going to require purposeful action. Be proactive. Don't just wait to receive. Begin to give. And I know that there are times where you give and you may never give back. That happens, but there are many times where you do begin to give, and then that stuff begins to be reciprocated. In his case, it says that he began to call his parents, and his parents never said I love you to him, never said anything, really encouraging, including his mother. Because his father, it says that his father was, his father struggled with a lot of different things, and it says that he began to call, and at the end of the conversation, he would say I love you. And it says that, it took weeks, but his mother began to respond almost immediately, oh, I love you too. And it shook him because he had never heard it, and then at the end of that, he began to say, hey, I love you and I appreciate everything that you've done. And it was like, what, their conversation began to change. And how he felt about his parents and who they were began to change. It says that his father took months, but finally he also, the first time he said that his father was just like, oh, okay. And that was the answer. So you imagine the difficulty, and most of us would have been like, yeah, okay, I'm not doing that again. But he continued to do that, and whenever he would talk, he wouldn't talk to his father as much as his mother, but whenever he would talk to his father, he would say, I love you. And finally, his father said, I love you back. And that completely just began to, just change stuff in him. And in fact, one day he said, I love you, and I appreciate everything that you've done in my life. And his father was like, man, I should have done more. And it began to change their relationship and their relationships around you. If you truly want to change the relationship, and even if you don't, because sometimes you don't really feel like it anymore, but there are relationships that need to be fixed. Well, if it's in your power to be at peace with somebody, do it. The Bible says. You got parents, you got friends, that you've been good friends with, husbands, wives, whatever it may be. Do everything that you can before you give up on the relationship. Be proactive. Come up with a strategy. He sat down and he started, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start calling them and I'm going to start saying this. If you know you're having difficulty in a certain relationship, make a list. And if you know that, for example, with words, if that's the issue, then make a list. These are the things that I can say. And start saying them. Maybe you can't say it verbally, leave a note. Thank you for this. I can't stand all this other stuff, and if you can only find one thing, then continue to thank us for that. Thanks that you work every day, Dad, and if that's all you do in my life, thank you that you do that. And let God make a change. Begin to pray over that relationship, and let God begin to shift it. Is it always going to work? No. But if it's possible for it to work, don't you want to find out? Say hey. Find a strategy for doing what you have to do, whether it's acts of service, and we're making a list now. We're going to take a little bit of time to add to it now. Start thinking about the things that you can say. Most of you guys have your list that I gave you, connecting the dots. So go ahead and go into words of affirmation. If you haven't filled out, we went ahead and put like about 5 or 6 people that you know are close to you. If you live at home, even if you don't feel emotionally close to them, put your parents down, your siblings. Maybe there's a co-worker that you see and you talk to day in and day out. What are some, if you haven't done it, acts of service that you can do for them, if you can think of some, or what are some words of affirmation, whether encouraging, praise, things that you can say to them? And go ahead and just take a minute to do that now. Remember, as you do these things, you're filling their love tanks. Okay?
I love this class.
Yeah.
Great, I love this class. You're going to write all of us in the house and whoever else you have that's close to you. And we're going to do this. Yeah, we're going to take about 10 minutes to do this. And if you have to use the restroom, and then we'll do the last class for tonight.
Get away.
Stop cheating, Esther.
She's reading the ones about her.
Are you writing your words of affirmation
I
then?
love do that.
Oh, so you're trying to hide them? I see. I'm not trying to read your stuff, man.
I don't know, he's more like this.
Right?
I can't even see it.
You need to cheat? Yeah, Wally. What nice things can you say about me, Wally? Come on. Yeah. People are looking at you like, why are you kissing dogs? You guys want me to turn the light on? Are you good? No, this is the love light. This is the love light? The love ambiance. Figured out why the video wasn't out. I didn't have the whole thing plugged in.
Want to go back?
You is small. Oh, really?
That is honestly one of my favorite movies.
That's a great movie. Yeah.
Great movie.
The Elvis.
Oh, stop it. Yes.
Surprise.
My sensitivity. Well, there's
when you guys get in there? That's for tomorrow? Is it a little bit easier that one?
Yeah. Tomorrow? Yeah.
Is tomorrow Father's Day yet?
I thought we Sunday.
That is
Tomorrow
tomorrow.
is Sunday.
Oh my God. I thought Father's Day was Sunday. Okay.
That's a given. We always wake up together. No. I did. And then Mark came. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Washington. Oh, you know, I want to go to Washington. Yeah. I feel like
I'll take this. One of the ones that I like, that I am one of them.
No pressure.
That's mine too.
Oh Lord. That is not affirming and encouraging, just so you know. It makes me nervous. That's good because you'll be able to share.
My voice is not to hear this, I can share.
I can hear you. It's good. I'm the one who's like, she said.
I want to run.
We good? We good? I'm looking for something. I'm trying to think about it. It's so hard, right?
very, very, very true. Because that was when I had first.
Oh my God.
And I was oh, okay. I don't know exactly. I just know that.
Are we done? Are we done? Who needs more time? More time? Anybody want a quick break, or you guys good to start the next one? Rolling, rolling?
You guys are going nuts.
Okay, let's do it.
And also back then, I was.
All right, how many quality time people do we got? Yeah, have to do quality time. Good, so you guys can give them class, right? Quality time, number one. Number one, quality time.
Mine is actually tied to that.
Is it tied? Your first one?
Oh, actually service and quality.
I can see that.
Jimmy's brother,
Was-
brother, and he's living for him.
Was it Princess Day? No. What do you think? Show coming. No. Was I don't know. That was after Princess Day, wasn't it? No, it was before Princess Day. It wasn't on my birthday. And so it was February, right? Yeah.
All right, guys, quality time.
Yeah.
Sanam. What does quality time mean to you, Sanam? Sanam.
All right.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, we got a lot of quality time people, okay? So what does quality time mean to you guys? Anybody?
It shows that you're willing to sacrifice some time that is meaningful to the other person. Because I think nowadays we are always on the go. We always have something to do, and when you sacrifice the time to be with someone, it means that they are valuable, that you care to be with them.
Okay, very
You
good.
learn much more about a person when you spend more time with them.
Body language.
Yes.
Quality time, Wally. Quality time.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Esther. What you got?
I think it's when
Hold on. We'll wait. With BJ.
when you set
I need quality time. I need your attention. That's part of quality time.
like when you set yourself apart with someone alone and you just you're not just doing whatever, you're actually doing things like that will bring you guys closer
We'll wait for
together.
BJ and Mandy and Javier.
Amanda?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Esther, I'm
No,
sorry.
it's okay. That brings you closer, to know them and closer just like
Alright. You had other hands, no? Yeah?
I think it's because it's not just spending time with someone. In my opinion, like going to the movies is not spending quality time because you're not even looking at the person, you're not even talking to them. But like,
What?
That's quality
Question,
time.
I have quality time.
Time out. We're gonna go around. For her, that's not quality time. You gotta be aware of what is quality time specifically. Okay, go ahead.
okay,
You're wrong, quality time is not that. Don't invite Sanan to the movies to spend time with her.
no, I love
To
food.
spend time with you, I mean.
It's just but it's even spending time. It's just quality time though. Is you're willing to do something that's like focus on interacting with the person, and also not, or maybe you're willing to do something that maybe it's not considered fun to you or whatever, but just because they like it, you're showing them that you value them and your time to do it, your time to do something just for them, with them.
What if I like the movies?
Okay.
I love movies.
Whoa, we're gonna go there. Somebody else? Anybody else? Quality time? We're gonna talk about all things. We're gonna talk about. So now I'd like to talk till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Walks on the park.
On the beach.
Okay, I get it.
Listen. Alright, come back. The central desire of quality time is togetherness, not just proximity. Listen, we can be in the same room all day long, and we have not spent absolutely no quality time together. And sometimes you'll hear people say, "I'm with you all the time." That means nothing.
Yeah.
That means absolutely nothing. We can be together all day long and not have time close at all. There's people at my job that I see day in and day out, and we have no kind of real connection whatsoever. Yes, sir.
What if they talk like forever and you don't say a word? Is that still quality time?
We're gonna go there, okay? I know those people too. They just talk forever.
I do that.
Listen. In a lot of quality time, okay, and this is kind of what Sanam's getting at. And again, I enjoy going to the movies. That's quality time for me as well. But there is a part of quality time where I do want your focus on divided attention. That means that I'm having a conversation with you and I'm not watching you go to your cell phone every 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Okay.
Seriously.
And that's hard. That's hard for most of us.
Yeah, Naomi.
If I know that we and you are having quality time, I will put my phone away. Okay? If you feel like you need quality time, my phone is gone. Go ahead, man.
I would like to say I think quality time people are the people that like to go out to eat. Because going out to eat is always a good time to spend quality time because it takes forever.
That's true.
Forever.
Then you get back late
Listen.
Yeah.
No. Gossip is not quality time.
If the central desire is it's gonna gossip. You don't even participate in that.
Jayla, I'm sorry, this class is not going in the direction that yes, sir.
Adding to what Amanda said. She loves me, but she's never taking me out to dinner.
Oh.
She never.
not gonna go crazy on each other and talk about all the people who didn't get text messages from him or all the people that Amanda didn't take out to eat.
You two need a class by yourself. That's what it is.
And co-pastor replied.
She replied.
Javier got a reply tonight. Javier got a reply.
I'm getting better. Oh my God. I'm trying.
Yes, sir. Pastor, go ahead. Go ahead. Wait. Pastor's trying to talk to you guys. Pastor's trying to say something.
I'm a gray haired person over here, but
Are you? Where?
no one can tell. No one can tell. Just for the younger, for you, all of you younger, and I'm trying to overstate. It's quality time texting because I see that for this generation.
It makes
According to Naomi, when I asked previously, I just wanted to texting back and forth rather than because for us, for the older generation, we want to talk on the phone rather than text. And text.
Can I?
So is that quality time for texting or?
Let me.
I just want to know.
No, that's fine. That's good. That's a good question. I think that especially with something like quality time, what each individual person's language is quality time requires, well, he doesn't like that word, or likes, it's gonna be, it may be a little bit different for each and every person, okay? So now mention movies and everybody, some of us jump. For me, that's, you got time to go with, time out, I wanna go.
I'm sorry. Yes, go.
Okay. So now mention movies and for me that part of quality time for me is that you have time to go with me. Now that's just, but I also require one-on-one FaceTime with you. That's very important to me. Can we sit down, whether it's over dinner, and have conversation and talk and just sit there? And we'll sit there for hours, even though I stopped eating an hour ago. We're still sitting there. And it's me and you. And so you have to ask about text messaging. Yeah, sometimes it's really hard for us to get together. And though we definitely, if you know that my language is quality time, find time for me. But it's very meaningful to me if you take out of your time to sit and have a conversation on the phone and text me back and write more than 2 words or write more than not even an okay. That is meaningful to me. Part of that is because I am not only quality time, I'm also words of affirmation, but if you're sitting there taking your time to sit there and text with me for an hour or whatever it is during that day and you're taking of your time, that means that you, like I said, you're taking of your time that you could be doing something else and text me. Now don't think that you're going to get away with quality time with me just because you texted me once last week for an hour. I sometimes require, can I just sit down with you? I don't want to sit down with you and your kids. I don't want to sit down with you and your cousin. I want to sit down with just me and you. Okay? And so it may be a combination of things. I completely understand what Sanam is saying. Sometimes I just want to talk with you and I want to be able to have conversation, not just be necessarily next to you. Go ahead, Mom.
That's good. And my answer to your question will be yes to some of it. Sometimes I have spent time with the kids in front of me and they spend the day with me, but they don't say anything. They go home and they start with, "Mommy, thank you for the day," and then they want to text. And then we text all night back and forth. So for some of them, in this generation, it is different. But for some of them, yes. Some of them want that face to face, but some of them can't even, depending on the situation, they don't face to face, they can't express what they feel, they don't know what to say, or whatever, or they spend the day with you, it was so awesome, they don't want to bring that up, they go back home, chaos starts again, now they want to text, so I give them my texting back and forth and try to be on top of the text, because it is important to them.
Okay. So we got extra studying to do within quality time. Yes,
Just one real quick thing. Like sometimes, say somebody's long distance or like somebody's really busy, like got a packed schedule, just the fact that even saying something like, "Hey, I hope your day is going great today," or any kind of like, "I'm thinking about you" text is really meaningful because it's like, hey, they're thinking about me. It's nice that they care about me.
Took out of their time to
Yeah.
thought about.
Right.
Yes, sir.
For me, texting is something that's like really serious. And I like, it's really serious. For me, it's like if you were in front of me and like talking, so like,
if I'm having a conversation with you and, I'm texting and the next second I get a quick text, like, you're paying attention. But, like, it's like, if you were in front of me and you're replying the next second. And then you stop texting for like 15 minutes and then reply, you hate me or you're ignoring me. That's why I like texting.
So you can ignore them for 15
No,
minutes.
no. You can't do it. Whatever you're doing and still talk.
Yeah.
Not just like talk to them.
But
And time out. You gotta read that.
That's why I
Wait,
don't
time out.
consider it quality time.
Okay.
Because you could do that.
And that's okay, because listen, and I think, like I said, I think it's one of those things that is going to be different generationally. It's going to be different for people. I find myself in the middle of two generations at this point, three probably. I don't even know. Because I like both things, and to me, again, both things. So when I consider taking of your time, whether it's a one-on-one, whether it's the right, and like Wally said, this generation, a lot of them will not open up, face to face. They'll just open up, and on the other side of that, what I was gonna say is, I have to be very, very aware that sometimes when we are texting, if you don't answer me, for 15, 20 minutes, an hour or two, you don't know, you gotta be aware that if it's a texting situation, you don't know what's going on. It's not necessarily that person all of a sudden dropped out. If you're allowing texting to be quality time, what did you say? Okay. It could be a lot of things, right? Their battery could have died, whatever.
Bring it back.
I'm waiting because it's not with this, But I just want to say that we have to be aware of that again. Don't be offended over every little thing that happens. Somebody's gonna text you for 20 minutes. At the very least, wait for them to text you and say, hey, something happened.
You know what I mean? I mean, like, one of those situations where you're like, what you doing? And it's like,
right.
Oh, nothing. I'm like,
and you're texting them when they're next to you and they saw the message and they just ignored you.
oh god.
You're following them in the mall and then you saw that they looked at their phone and you ignored
Oh
you.
my god.
Like, man, I don't want to talk to you. Go ahead, Mandy.
Your love language, the essential question is what is focused, undivided attention to you?
Right.
What is considered focused, undivided attention?
Right. And it's different, and that's what I'm saying. This one requires a little extra work. I mean, and they all really do. If you think about it, all of these things, again, they're going to require you learning. Just like learning a different language, literally, they're going to require you sitting down, and there's different dialects, again. There's different ways of expressing that. Okay? Somebody else, Pastor or AJ, who has something?
Well, I was going to say that that's why I asked that question, because part of understanding, with love languages, especially for the older generation, understanding to communicate at your level. My level, if I respond to text, I try to use proper English. I don't know the short terms and the quick.
Wally, I told you to stop talking to Pastor like that.
That's the whole person. And it takes a little more time than when someone just say and
Wally texted and I was like, what is this?
I know. What is
but my whole why I made that statement is to understand, because sometimes that's where communication is broken. If we're not understanding one another, if I'm not understanding that, hey, just like as Wally expressed, it's true that some people text, that's their community, they'll text and I mean they're quick with their thumbs too. They're just and conversation.
Pastor said, okay.
I'm trying to do it, but it's part of us understanding one another, because that's really, if we're going to communicate, I need to understand. If you're not, like you say, someone texts you and they don't, you receive a text, but you're not responding right away. Sometimes some people make mistake that, are you ignoring me? Or, just take 2 seconds, hey, busy, I'll check back with you, or something like that.
Yeah, and be willing to say that. Be willing to say, listen, I really can't text right now. and be willing to receive that. Don't be getting all offended because somebody doesn't want to text with you every single second that you want to text. There's people like that, you know. I just got a quick question. Oh, but how you doing? What did you do today? How did you? I was like, I just had a quick question. I can't talk right now, you know. And don't be rude about it. But sometimes instead of just leaving somebody hanging, we need to take listen. I can't really talk right now. I'll catch up with you later, you know. And on the other side of that, be willing to go ahead, Amanda.
Like for instance, like I can't have my phone on me at work, and I'll
Is that
go.
why you don't talk?
Well, I mean, I'm dealing with people one on one, so it's like I'll leave like an answer, and then like hours and hours will go by before I can say anything, and sometimes you're like hello, and I'm like.
And I know, and I laugh. I always bother Wally because at my job, you know, I got a lot of time. People that work with me know that. But there's times where I don't. There's times where I can answer a text, and there's times where I can't. I used to bother Wally because she loves hello. So she'll be like, hello. And I keep telling her that on the other side of that doesn't come up as hello. Like, if you give a message, it comes up like, hello, why haven't you answered me? You know? And so I used to bother her. But you talk about communication, you know, and we got to know that. Sometimes people just can't write. But anyways, we're going off on a tangent on texting. That's good. No, and again, are we clear? Everybody's quality time. Some people may include texting, some people may not. Okay, so don't assume that because you texted for an hour yesterday with somebody, they consider that quality time. Okay? Sometimes you literally have to ask, hey, you know, are we good? Do we need to spend some time together? And again, we talked about how do you know when it's not enough? People will complain. You'll hear them. You know, can we hang out? Can we do something? You know, you're never around. You know, we never spend time together. You'll hear them. Okay? We need to talk. You know? Can I talk with you? Can you not bring your other friends? Can you not, you know? And sometimes it's just about hanging out, but sometimes it is that one-on-one. Okay? You know, we talk about marriages and things like that. Sometimes it's about, hey, can somebody hang with the kids? And me and you, let's spend some time together. You know? Quality time. We talk about quality conversation. Okay? In quality time, we've got to learn to listen. Okay, and just give some examples of quality people that quality listening for good listeners, for lack of a better term. Okay, and just really quick, poor listeners, you ever start talking about something and you're just trying to get somebody to hear you out? I'm struggling with this. I got a, you know, whatever. I got a broken heart, and they proceed as soon as you say it, say, oh my gosh, I remember when this happened to me, and I went through. Oh man, let me tell you my story, and you're just like, seriously, can I just share what I needed to go through? You know, or instantly you tell them something and they're ready to just absolutely, you know, fix everything that you have. You know, sometimes we need it. Sometimes we just need to be able to let that out. And for quality, people that like quality time, you know, everybody really needs a listening time, you know, and needs people to hear them out. But even more so, a lot of times people who need that quality time, and we talk about focus, undivided attention, you know. Good listeners. Like I said, it's listening for more than just the topic. Sometimes we go off on our own tangents. We don't want to do that. We talk about maintaining eye contact. You know, if I'm talking with you, I don't want you to be like, you know, and I'm sharing my life and my heart with you, and you're just like, you know, and to the point where you're just trying to figure out what it is that they're looking at, you know, and it's like, listen, I'm right here, you know, and not only does it make the other person feel like they're important, okay, it also helps you to focus. You know, and help you to focus on what that person is saying. I completely understand when people are just talking and talking and talking and they're just talking, you know. And yes, it's very hard to sit with those people, but even those people need to feel loved. Yeah, you think what? Even those, I mean, and we got people and the few people that come to mind instantly, you know, that just love to talk. But sometimes we need to take that time to show them that we love them and to be able to listen to them. We talk about not engaging in other activities unless the quality time that you're having and that you've decided to have with that person involves another activity. If we're talking about having quality conversation, this is you and them talking. We talked about the phone, you know, and for some people that might not be a big deal, and you'll have to establish that with the person that you're talking to. But like for me, not all the time, but when it's time for us to hang out, you know, and I mean, I'm not just talking about every time we go out to eat or every time we go do something, you know, but there are times where I'm sharing what I'm going through. I really need you to be there. Not checking your phone every 2 seconds for that. Oh, what if somebody wrote me? He could have, you know, maybe somebody said something. The possibility of something important being posted on Facebook and me missing it that very second. You know, whatever it may be. Can you give me your attention for a few minutes? You know, and now me wondering, and I'm not talking about just people that have a phone over here. Sometimes you have a phone down here and you think you can fake it, like nobody can tell that you're looking at your phone. People know. You know, and sometimes we need that attention. And it may be that you need to say, hey, can I just have your attention right now? You know, sometimes, listen, people can't read our mind, and if that's killing you and if it's bothering you, maybe you need to say, hey, do you think we can put the phone away for a minute? But remember that for next time, so that they don't have to be telling you every single time. You know, or if you know that you're expecting an important text or an important call, let them know, listen, I want to hear you, I want to listen to you, but there is something going on that I may have to take care of. At least acknowledge that, okay? Sometimes that quality conversation is not going to be while you're doing 20 million other things. Okay, Javier mentioned that he doesn't, for him, quality time is not texting because that person could be doing other things. Yeah, right. Okay. So you gotta know that. I know that for Javier. It's not that I'm not gonna text him, like BJ's not gonna text him anymore, but I'm gonna know that he requires. Let's go out to eat, Javier. Let's go out and have sushi that we've been talking about for like 2 years now, and we haven't gone. Okay. And if you know that somebody's requiring attention and they're coming up to you and they're telling you, hey, can we talk? And you can't do it right now, listen, let them know. I want to be able to give you my undivided attention. Don't be trying to fit them in the middle of something. You know, let me finish what I have to do and we'll get together. When you're listening, listen for emotions. Think about what the person is feeling. Remember that quality time, for people with quality time, this isn't time where we're just sharing and hanging out, but it's also a time where we're having, you know, where we're discussing certain things. Maybe there's something going on in our relationship that is not good, that is not helpful. You know, good listeners are very important, and you want to be able to hear, hey, maybe somebody's feeling hurt because of something that you did, and you want to acknowledge that in that conversation. You know, here, if somebody's saying things and it's like, man, are you feeling hurt? Are you upset that I did that? You know, acknowledge it, clear that up. Don't just assume that you understand everything that person is saying. You know, actually verbalize it. Don't walk off assuming that you understood everything that they said. Again, we talk about body language. You know, and I'll say, you know, you observe theirs and you observe yours. If you're just listening to somebody and you're just like, you know, I'm looking at you, but I'm like, whatever, you know, and we're just like fidgeting, you know, and all that. Body language speaks volumes. Volumes. We could do a whole class on body language. It's actually pretty interesting. Okay. Let's do it. Wally, they want a class on body language. Okay. Another big thing is don't interrupt. I think I ran out of paper and I don't have the rest of my stuff. Did I not check? Every day. Something. Huh? I don't know what it is. You have no idea. It's here. Don't scare me. I did that yesterday. Don't interrupt. Okay? A lot of times, especially when we're discussing something that we don't like, that we're struggling with, right? The person starts talking and what are we doing in our head?
Wait, I have something really quick to say.
Go ahead.
For me, sometimes that's really hard because I have like a terrible short span memory. Like seriously, like somebody will say something and then I'll have something really good to say, and if I don't say it right there, then I'll have something else to say.
Like
and
right
then
now
I'll forget.
Yeah,
exactly, because I have to say.
And then you need to walk around with a notebook. And I'll tell you why. Because there's a couple of things. First of all, what I was gonna say is sometimes in the middle of a discussion about something that's going wrong, for example, instead of us listening to a person, what are we doing in our head? That's what I asked.
You're already thinking of the next.
You're already thinking about your response.
Yeah.
You didn't even let them finish saying what they were saying, explaining, because maybe in their explanation you would have understood, but you're already ready to answer. No, the reason I did that was because you said this, and the person saying, I know I said, and you didn't even hear that part because you completely went off in your head somewhere else. The other thing, on the flip side of that, sometimes people are sharing their heart and they're going through a situation and you're spending quality time just because you're sharing. And they're getting ready to share something that maybe they've never said before, and you interrupt them to give an opinion about something. And that was the first time that person ever had the guts to even begin to say what they were going to say. And in your interrupting them, you stopped them, and they ended up not saying what they needed to say. You want to be very, very, very careful. There's a time for everything, and in conversation, there's a time for everything. If you know that you're having quality time, and you know that somebody's sharing something, you know, maybe you need to work on, hey, I'm going to write, I don't want to forget, I don't want to miss anything. You know, and I know that sounds weird, but it can be that important in the middle of conversation that we learn to just, you know, you talk about like psychologists, psychiatrists, and you see them with their little pen writing things down when you're saying something, and they just let you talk, you know, but that's a big part of it. They can hear so that they hear and they just let you go. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody and they just, and you're just talking, and they don't necessarily, and they're acknowledging what you're saying, and then, there's a silence, and you just feel like you have to keep talking, and so sometimes we actually, in just being quiet and let them finish and giving them a second to think, they'll continue to share what's going on in their head, and I speak that from experience from sitting down with a lot of you guys individually, where you guys will say something and you'll expect me to say something else, and I'm just like, okay, so what else? And you guys, okay, well, and what, and you'll continue on. And it's happened time and time again. We need to really learn to listen, okay? And again, ask reflective questions. We talk about, this is about the other person, okay? And so your questions and the things that you're saying are based on what that person is talking about, I'll use, pay attention. I'll use them, and it was funny because, I'm telling you, you don't know. No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. She says that's okay. I wasn't gonna say anything bad. And I told a few of you guys this, and I said, well, when the second day I met her, you talk about quality, and she didn't need to show me that she loved me, but you talk about just automatically giving quality time, and listening and having conversation. We had started talking about the things that were going on in my life, and again, this is the second day I met her. And forget it, whatever. I'm crying like an idiot at work, and we're having this conversation, and somebody else walks up, so I'm wiping my eyes, and I'm like, anyways, I'll go, whatever, I'm just gonna walk up. And she's like, we're gonna finish talking later, and I'm like, okay, whatever, And so, whatever, half an hour later, she's like, okay, so you said this, and this, and then what happened? She heard everything that I said, and that was, that in itself was like, I clicked like that. Because have you ever just been talking to somebody and you're telling them all this stuff and the conversation went elsewhere, and then what were we talking about? I don't know. That to me meant, wow, this is somebody that cares. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say this publicly. She has memory because she can remember things that I don't remember all the time. She can remember conversations. But that's part of, one of the things in communication is really taking the interest to listen totally, and even go over those things. I fail in that sometimes. I'll say that. But she's a great listener, and that's a great part of great communication skills, to be able to replay something. And when we talk about ask reflective questions, it's important for the person that's sharing that you're able to respond in that way. So you're telling me X, Y, Z, or so that you can understand also from their conversation, they're saying, wow, you're taking it into.
And that was huge. That was huge for me in a lot of, in our relationship. And you never know when it makes a huge impact like it did in me, in my restoring, and even in what God was doing in me. And so understand that a lot of these things and a lot of these times of this quality time, this part of this dialect of quality time, as far as quality conversation and listening and speaking, you don't ever have an idea of the effect that has on somebody. Sometimes just the ability to get out what you have out loud, what's going on inside of you, is all that you need. There's going to be times, and we'll talk about the other part of this as far as talking, where the person requires or requests of you that you give them advice. But sometimes it's just, listen, I already know what I got to do. I just really needed to say this out loud and not be the only one carrying this. I just wanted to talk. We talk about the reflective questions and expressing understanding. As you're sharing with somebody, whether they're sharing their heart or whether it's a discussion that you're trying, some situation that you're trying to fix, when they're talking, listen, don't interrupt. And we talk about the reflective questions and expressing understanding. You want to say, okay, so what I'm understanding is that you don't like this or that you do like that. Because like I said before, a lot of times we'll walk off, right? And, but this is what you said. And at home, we were cracking up the other day because we get that a lot at home. Wally will be like, well, what you said was this. Well, I meant that, but that's not what you said, right? And so the other day, we were laughing because Wally had said something. We're like, well, that's what you said. And she's like, well, that's not what I meant. And BJ goes, but that's what you said. And we're just laughing because, me and BJ tend to have a lot of the same, relationships, some of the same things with Wally. So we were just cracking up and down. She's like, all right, I got you, But a lot of times that happens because we don't stop to say, hey, is this what you meant? you know. So take that extra time sometimes, and any kind of communication, but especially when you talk about quality time. We're gonna get a little bit to quality activities in a minute, but talking again, questions to ask reflective questions, questions to better understand. Listen, quality time and conversation is not just that you sit there and listen and the other person just talking and talking. Sometimes they really need to hear you. Okay? And some of us struggle with talking, some of us talk all the time. But some of us do struggle with talking. Like Javier and DJ, they don't have a problem with talking at all. But some of us do, and you need to be aware that it's not just that I want to talk, that I want to talk. Sometimes I do want to hear what you have to say. Okay? And not just about what happened to your broken heart, but in relationship to mine. Unless what happened to you is going to be helpful to my situation. Again, sharing experiences, advice, again, if requested, if it's going to be helpful. Yeah, go ahead.
And also, I am very wrong about asking the question.
What?
Okay,
No, I know. I'm sorry. You said that right.
So, I just say, okay, do you want me to listen? Do you really want my advice? Do you need to vent?
Right.
I want to know. I want to know. I want to know if you want me to listen, and I'll sit there and listen all day, whatever. And sometimes you just want to vent, but it is okay to ask. And they will tell me. They will say, no, I just want to listen to me. I know, what am I gonna do? And sometimes it's like, no, can please give me some advice or whatever. So, I don't want to be, sometimes they are expecting something and you don't say anything. And so it's okay to ask, if this is quality time, this is you and me, so we're going to, take advantage of it. And you can ask, okay, yes, you listen first, and then you can ask, do you want my advice? Do you want me to pray for this? Or do you need my help in this? What do you want? What can I do? How do you do that?
Okay, so, again, that goes along with it. Conversation involves both listening and talking. Yes, go ahead.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
Y'all have been getting on me about this. So me and Wally part 1, 2, 3, there is now part 4 of our conversation. Because I'm thinking you guys are so out about this quality time thing. You guys are both aware that Wally and I are very, very, very busy with our active service. So the only time that we do have is right before you guys. So Vivian, I apologize that she's gonna be keeping dinner today.
Oh wow! But now when she's gonna cook.
No, we had this reserved because our time is before you guys. So because we're both busy, but I just find it interesting because I'm saying all this and then don't interrupt. And I know you guys are doing it out of love and it's funny. But that's that moment we're in a tense conversation, and then we have this one great man, like a little rose coming up, and I'm like, really though? Really?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. But I just find it funny because it's like, wow, you guys are definitely happy about this. So why do you pick on us when we try to do it? Is it because it's not with you that you want to be involved?
It's all about us.
Well, that's actually a legitimate question I'm actually asking. Is it because you're not involved in that conversation, or is it just?
And you know what? That's very, very legit. I think that sometimes we especially with Wally, and I think it's just because a lot of us have that confianza, that comfort level with her. And I think that, we almost feel like we can interrupt anything. And we really need to be very, very aware of that, especially the very close, like I said, Javier is practically one of the kids in the house, and so a lot of times, we cross that line. I know I cross the line sometimes. Even today when I called her, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the phone ring and I'm like, why am I calling her? This question doesn't need to be necessarily answered right now, and I know that she's talking. And so I caught myself, and so we do need to be aware of that, when people that are close to us are spending time with somebody else, give them that time. Sometimes, many times, the questions that we have and the things that we have to interrupt for are not absolutely necessary. A joke's not really, really funny when I'm telling you my deepest, darkest struggle. And you think it's hilarious right now to creep, and I'm just using that as an example. But it's not to me. You're interrupting. Again, you want to talk about us not interrupting in quality conversation. Sometimes the people around us are interrupting. If your parents are having quality time, leave them alone. If your kids are having quality time and whatever it may be, give them a little bit of time. Okay? And so that's a very, very legitimate point. And so I apologize for my joke when I was here.
I accept your apology. I appreciate you acknowledging that knowledge.
And then quality activities. Okay, so we talked a little bit about this. For some of us, we can go to the movies, right?
Yes.
Dinner, yeah, food.
Dinner,
Yeah,
yes.
Dinner?
I'm just kidding.
Enough. Quality time for you. Food?
No, it's just the only thing I was just gonna say, like, I love going to movies, but my dad like loves doing that. If he wants anything to do with us, we watch like 3 movies in 1 day. But
Doesn't bring you any
But-
closer.
he says like you want to spend time with him, that's what he likes to do. But then I realize at the end of the day, I'm like, I've barely even spoken to him. Like, but it's different, I guess. I don't know.
My dad too. He's like, let's watch TV. I like that.
Whale
We haven't
Wars.
hung out, and he's like, what are you talking about? We just saw like 1.5 hours of Whale Wars.
Jimmy and I would get along.
I get it. I love watching TV too. But yeah, like you said, sometimes we get into that one-on-one time, especially when it's a paternal type of thing, because you know you need that.
You should tell him that tonight. And I do think, and I think, you know, sometimes we do have to get to a point. Listen, we have to get to a point where we really speak that. Not like, man, but we want to talk. Not like in the middle of a discussion, but like, hey, Dad, can we sit down and talk? You know, I need one-on-one time. I need to be able to speak with you and share with you and see what's going on in your heart and really share what's going on in mine. You know, and so we talk about whether it's watching Whale Wars, which Wally hates, and she mentioned yesterday, but she does it for him. Okay, because he considers that quality time, and that's important to him. And so she fills his love tank, okay, as she does that with him, and hopefully he'll go help do something in the shed in the back and fill her love tank, okay. And so however it needs, you know, you got to be aware of each other's, okay, love language. It can be something that interests you. It can be something that interests the both of you. It's great when it's something that's fun for both of you, you know. But every now and again, it'll be, hey, let's do this with you. This is what you want to do. And not only let me do it with you, oh, this sucks, I can't believe I'm doing this, I'm just doing this for you, sorry for language. But is that what you want to do? Okay, let's do it. You know, let's go, and I'm going to have a good attitude about it, and I'm going to watch those whales, and I'm going to watch them kill each other, and I'm going to watch them kill the whales, and watch oh my gosh, look at all that blood, I can't believe that's happening, and he's going to get all excited, I'll be like, really, wow, and I'm going to make sure that we enjoy that time. Seriously, not like, okay, we're gonna watch Whale Wars and I'm gonna have my cell phone right here the whole time, and he knows that you're not really there. I'm telling you. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. I just like something that people watch, like I don't know, like you don't want to watch it for some reason.
Okay.
Like, I mean, sometimes I'm with my friends and they want to watch things that aren't.
Oh, and you're absolutely right. Like, I don't watch scary movies, and I'm sorry. You know, if you like to watch scary movies, me and you are going to find something else that you can consider quality time to do. It doesn't have to be, okay? It doesn't have to be that everything that they want to do. I mean, it cannot possibly be that, I mean, it'd be possible, but it's not likely that the only possible thing that you consider quality time is watching scary movies. And if it is, I guess me and you are not having a relationship.
I'm not hanging out with you because I won't be able to.
You know, there are things that you'll draw a line at. You know, I'm not saying if the only thing that you like to do is go out and party and drink. Oh well, I'm spending quality time. Naomi said I had to go do that with my friends. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, I want to spend time with you. Quality time, something that you want to do, but there are certain things that I won't do. You know, and so you gotta find. You know, it's a very good point. You gotta find that thing which even if it's something that you don't like, but not something that's gonna go against what you believe in or something that's gonna affect you. Right, guys? Boys? Yeah. Right? Thank you.
She
just called you a
boy.
She called you a boy? What?
She called her a boy.
I was talking to you. Okay, other interests. And again, I mentioned the no complaints, the positive attitude, that's really important. And I'll say that, like, for example, even with acts of service, sometimes somebody will ask for you to do something or whatever it may be. That initial hesitation, like, okay, I'll do it. The other day I posted, if you're going to do it anyway, don't complain about it. Why are you going to do a big old show and then do it? Just shut up. Go do it. You're going to do it. Okay, this is what you want done. Let's do it. Because let me tell you, it doesn't help absolutely anybody that you sit there and complain. In fact, you sit there and complain, it even feeds even more the fact that you didn't want to do this. So if you're going to do it, get it done. Okay, let's do this. And do your best to do it with a good attitude. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I just want to know, okay, so with quality time or whatever,
Oh, let him talk, let him talk.
If you're, I don't know, I can't see how if you're going and you're just watching a movie with somebody, that's really spending quality time. I feel it because if you guys are not having meaningful conversation or anything going on, I mean, if I just watch movies and I get my car and leave, how's that quality? That's just quantity time. That's just amount of time spent. But it's what it is really.
Okay, hold that thought. We got 3 people in a row, so Shayla, you're first.
Well, I was gonna say that when somebody does like watch movies, there is the movie aspect of it, and then there's also like the let's speaking or like talking about the movie afterwards. Yeah, that is conversation starter and then goes somewhere else.
Very good.
Oh, I was gonna say,
Hold on, AJ, hold on, AJ, hold on. We're gonna go point.
my first point was,
Hold on. We'll wait.
my first point was that. Okay, I am one of those people that like to do that, but I also was in a long distance relationship, so things like that were very like just being in the room. The proximity thing was like a big thing for me, so it didn't even matter. But then also, here's where this whole like, what is considered your undivided attention? Because for my parental units, right? Especially my maternal unit.
Thank you.
I consider like doing things like having dinner or watching a movie or watching a TV show. That's quality time for me, okay, right? Not for her. So then we have this
Just the
clash.
movie aspect.
No, then we have this
I'm with the
clash.
mom.
Hold on, we're interrupting each other. Hold on.
And even because I like to spend quality time, I also like to be a loner too. So like shopping, I like to shop by myself. But like doing somebody else's interest, so I shop with someone else, a maternal unit that likes to shop with someone, right? So all this stuff that I'm trying to do, because for me, that's considered quality time. But then it's like, it's not enough. So then it's like, oh my God, I don't know what else. Because I feel like I'm doing everything. Because to me, that's quality time. Like, I feel like I'm doing it. I'm here. I'm present. Like, I'm doing this, and this. But it's just
and you guys have a little bit of a different situation as well, just because you guys are together like 24/7. But like, I think that you guys need to have a conversation. If you're doing everything that you think you can be, I'm going. I see your hands. If you guys think that you can, if you think that you feel like you're doing everything that you can, and you still are hearing her say no, you're not, then you need to sit down and have not a conversation in the middle of where are you going, why aren't you here? I'm always with you, but let's sit down and talk. Hey, what is it that you need from me that I'm not giving you?
What do you need?
Not right now. Not right now. Not right now. BJ, and then we'll go back to Wally and Bigo.
Oh, well, I was just saying, there's probably different levels of quality time. Because to me, there's a difference between quality time and intimate time. So, like,
oh my gosh, we have quantity time,
Wow,
quality
that's
time,
deep.
intimate time.
That's deep.
Go ahead.
So let's say if somebody asks you, let's go watch a movie, you're doing something, you're enjoying something that you guys both like together. And it's like, sometimes all you want is somebody next to you to laugh with you, or yeah, that was funny, or yeah, this is cute in the movie, or that guy handsome.
Oh, we know what you're saying.
She's cute, he's handsome. I'm not thinking of him.
So, it's quality time, but sometimes you want intimate time, so there's probably a different
Okay,
level.
very good. That's good. That's a good way to break it down.
Great.
Okay, but they're both considered quality time to you. They're just different kinds. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, that if, because you're speaking their language, okay, so, that's, because you said, the fact is that you are there taking from your time, and in your case, you can do something to your wife, you're like, watching a movie. So, you are, it's not even the movie, it's the fact that you are there, spending that time with her, or who him, or whatever it is, doing what they like, what they want. If their quality time is go and walk in the park, and you like to walk in the park, so you do it for them. So you're like, what's the point? We're just walking or running, we're not even talking, we're not gyming. Okay, go to the gym. Oh no, please, we're not even talking. Because every time we think quality time, we think talking, we think conversation. So quality time is just not, it's not talking, it's a time in whatever it is that they like. So that's.
And again, for
And
some
then-
people it might be talking, and
Yeah,
for,
for some
and,
people
and like I said, for me it's a mix of stuff. So it's sorry, I'm a little comfy.
And then Amanda, this is the thing. Don't work so hard. Don't work so hard in doing all these things when she only wants one.
Which is, I don't know.
Which is, yes, you do know. You go home, mommy, what do you want me to do? Because she is at a service. So then you are going to shop that you don't like. I don't like shopping either. Going to this, going to that.
She likes to shop. She just likes to shop.
I know.
AJ likes the movies, but he just doesn't consider that quality time.
You're doing all these things, and you still not speaking her language. You're speaking German, French, Chinese, whatever. Not her language. So then you are speaking all the languages. So don't work so hard. All these other things.
Let's all go watch a movie.
And you give her that.
I just want to say it's almost 10 o'clock or 10 o'clock, so you guys are the ones extending this. I don't have a problem, but I just want to throw that out there.
And
Well, I was thinking, and I think the levels of your need for quality time like vary. So like at sometimes sitting and watching movies is totally quality time, but others is not. So I think you have to be aware of
What that
person
means.
is
Yeah.
at that time.
There you go. See, you answered your own question. Somebody else? Anybody else?
You didn't waste my answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because you're so quiet.
Empty tank.
I got you back, man.
It's stuff at all.
You know what? We have to say Michael C. Where's the person,
Yeah, that didn't mean much.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I mean, there are obviously various activities that we can do. I think we focus, a lot yesterday on like cleaning as an activity. Now we're focusing a lot on like watching a movie. But like, I mean, people bond over like playing sports. And, like your sports team, you don't necessarily have to talk to them all the time. You can, just play, football or basketball or whatever. You can, going on a road trip. There are times where you turn off the radio, you have, conversation. There are other times where you just bond by blasting music very loudly and singing to songs that you'd be way too embarrassed to sing, in karaoke or various other.
And sometimes you just have to ask the person, what do you want to do? And it's funny because sometimes, how many times have you been with a friend or significant other, whatever it may be, and you're just like, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? It doesn't matter. Whatever you want, let's just go chill. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Let's go shopping. Nobody needs to buy anything, but let's just go hang out. I just ate, but whatever. Let's go get some coffee or something. It doesn't even matter. It's just about being together.
like an example is like sometimes many girls are notorious for having other girls go with them to the bathroom.
That's quality time.
It's very separate.
Guys, we know you don't go to the bathroom for quality time. We're grateful that you don't. Our bathrooms are covered completely. Go ahead.
But it's because you just like having that person around, and you love that person.
Will you be with me? Come on.
Seriously, I'm not.
But it's true. I mean, it does. Whatever.
Like for example, like with Esther, like I'll tell her.
No. Hey guys, listen up.
What if you go to a restaurant and
No, Javier.
Yeah.
No. It's Javier.
Well,
Javier.
for example,
You're interrupting.
for example,
We're not having discussions across stalls, Jimmy. Necessarily. We have, but not necessarily.
like for example, at home, I'm with Esther all the time, but I'll even
She
ask
goes to the
her.
bathroom still?
Whoa. But sometimes I'll even ask her just go upstairs with me, like just be in the same place with me, because it's just you don't have to, like Wally was saying, you don't have to talk to bond. Just being with the person is bonding.
If it has something to do with the stall.
No. It's like when Molly tells us to go get something downstairs and we all go to one thing.
You and me don't do.
No, everybody.
Okay.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Fitness
Yeah.
people.
Big O's like, yeah, we all do. Go get the hammer. So you got Javier, BJ, Big O, John, everybody's going downstairs to get the hammer. And then they run back so you can bring it back first. But it is true. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to bond. It'll be one of those languages where you really gotta be hearing where that person is at. Don't just assume that because the movies was fine the last few times that they don't need some quality time with this conversation. And you're gonna have to play that by ear with that person. Ask, stop assuming. Ask the questions. What do you want to do? Do you need to talk? Do you want to talk? And again, Manny said something that was important. She just didn't want to talk. The one time. And I remember I asked her, I don't know, a couple months ago. I was like, some stuff going on, and I'm like, and I asked her something, and she just kind of made a face like, you don't want to talk about it? She said, no, not really. And I was like, all right, cool. And it's it. And be okay with that, and don't be all offended with that, and move on. And sometimes that's just enough to give the person some time, and maybe they'll talk to you later, and maybe they won't. Maybe you're not the person that they need to talk to, and that's okay. If it's not about you and it's about that person, and they have somebody that they can share with and let that out with, and deal with their issues, then you should be content because you love that person and they're okay. Okay. So quality time. Yes, go ahead.
What you just said, really? No, not really. Because sometimes I know people that would say not really just because they want you to assist with it.
Okay. And sometimes you do. And again, you get to know. You get to know people. And you're right though. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And don't think I didn't ask her again later. But at that moment wasn't necessarily the time. All right. So anybody else? Quality time. Shayla, is that all right? Sure. Quality time. All right. So you got your last connect the dots for tonight. Look at those people. What are some things that you can do for quality time with them? Do not put movies for all of them. Get creative. Manny, don't take AJ to the movies, okay?
Beyond. Get away from me! What?
Wait. Oh, listen. Hey, okay, while he's gonna do the raffle real quick. See who wins the book. Say everything. Where's the list? Yeah, but those are numbers only.
Oh, you are correct. Can I have that list of people? Oh yeah, I need to tell you the number. Okay, so here we have the single ones. Hey, you. The single ones, and then I didn't see you coming in. And then the ones for married, yes. And we made this for you guys, the love tank.
Oh, that's so cool.
We have only few keychain, and then the pin that you can put wherever you want to put it. Okay, so you can pick one from here, and then let's see, take a number. Let's see what number we get out. Goodness, Reina's so aggressive.
Peter Boy?
30.
30. Who's 30?
Nuh-uh, liar.
Wait. Amber's not here. Not here. Next number.
No.
39.
Your point.
Oh my god.
39.
That's yours.
There is
Peter Boy. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
Not here.
Next. Jenny, 39. Are you sure?
Are we going through my family?
Wally, God is saying they need the book. What's the problem?
All right, next. 5.
5.
Wally.
Goodness.
I'm back in Jenny Baby. What is the problem?
Diana.
Diana? Okay, Diana's here.
Wally, if you be married first, who else is gonna get it? Okay, they already have it.
Okay.
Hey, why can't people have it for their parents or?
Good point. You're absolutely right.
Andrew's right. Okay, next book.
People like
Parents
I
or.
apologize. I made a mistake.
Mira, siéntate.
36.
36. Who's 36?
Oh,
Oh my goodness!
Did you pick a good number right now?
34.
Down here.
Wait, I have a second one.
Oh, she has a second one, hold on.
19.
19.
Jimmy, watch.
Not here.
OMG.
18. Oh goodness.
Why would you say 15 already?
Oh,
John.
Oh, good job. For the future or for your parents, whatever you want. Or for someone that you might, you know.
Have in mind.
Not yet, Doc, not yet.
I meant for someone he knows that is doing a
Yeah.
You guys.
girl.
I meant for someone that he
That is
knows.
not a sign from above, Josh.
Next Friday. Let's pass this around so you guys can have one, and then next Friday we'll finish with physical touch and gifts. Okay? Next Friday. Thank you guys.